Good morning, workout family. My name is Jackie, if you weren't tuning in on Saturday morning. This is a practice of Hatha Yoga, 45 minutes. I'll give you time just to, if you haven't already set up, just to roll out your mat. That's the only thing that you will need. You might want a blanket for the relaxation at the end. So I trust that you are staying home and staying safe with all your loved ones and your family. And this morning we're going to start lying on our back. So as soon as you are set up, you don't need a lot of room at all. You can lie yourself down and just listen to my verbal cues. So make yourself really comfortable coming into a traditional Shavasana. If I've got any beginners, I'll just show you what that looks like. So taking your legs roughly hip width apart, letting the ankles soften and just rolling the palms to face up to the ceiling. Drawing the chin down towards the chest. So this is your Shavasana. If you're not comfortable with the back here, then you can bend the legs. Bring the knees together, widen the feet. So just finding a comfortable resting position. So we're going to start with a little bit of breath work today. So our intention this morning is about balance. So in life we can't always control what we want to, and so I want us to find that balance between effort and surrender. And in yoga, the Sanskrit term asana is to sit with comfort and ease between a posture. So it's about finding that sense of balance in today's practice. So just bringing your hands either onto your abdomen or maybe a hand on the chest and a hand on the belly. You're going to breathe in a moment for 3 counts. You're then going to hold on to the breath for 3 counts. Exhaling for 3, and then a further hold or retention for 3 counts. I'll obviously count you. If you are pregnant, then leave out the hold, leave out the retention, and just do the breathing in and breathing out. Okay, so let's begin together. So we're going to breathe in for 3, for 2, for 1. We're going to hold on to the breath for 3, for 2, for 1. We're going to exhale slowly for 3, for 2, for 1. And then we're going to hold on to the breath for 3, for 2, for 1. Breathing in softly, 3, 2, 1. Holding on. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, let the breath go. 3, 2, 1. And then hold. 3, 2, 1. So just continue to mentally count in this way. So breathing in for 3, holding for 3, breathing out for 3, and then holding again. So anytime you find your mind wandering or absorbed in thought, just bring yourself back to the breath and the count without judging yourself. So just take one full cycle of breath. When you reach your exhalation, just let the breath go and let it return to its natural ebb and flow. Just taking a moment here just to acknowledge how you feel. Maybe any subtle effects from the breathing. I'm going to start to move into the physical body. So you might like to start with the fingers and the toes, just wriggling. Bringing that movement into the wrists and the ankles, circling. And then just floating the arms up over the head, taking a full body stretch here. So feeling the nice curve of the lower back, you might like to point and flex your feet a couple of times. So continuing to work with the breath throughout our physical practice. So we're going to start now by bringing the right leg in over the chest. You can have your left leg bent. This is a kinder option, or if you want a little stronger, you can stretch that left leg out. And you're going to start to draw that knee of the right side in towards the shoulder, in towards the chest. Maybe catch hold behind the thigh or below the shin. Take a few rounds of breath here. And then opening the knee out, maybe you float your left arm out, anchoring that shoulder in, and we're coming into a little hip stretch. So you're taking the right knee out to the right first of all. Trying to keep both buttocks rooted into the mat. Try not to turn through and twist through the pelvis. Breathing in here. And as you breathe out, you're just going to guide that leg back and pass the right knee into the left hand now. We're coming across the body into a little twist. So don't force the stretch. You can float your right arm out, just guiding that left thigh over towards the left. You may like to roll your head and turn to the right. Just see how this twist receives in the lower back. If there's any discomfort, maybe don't come quite as deep. I'm just starting to warm up through the lower back. Then come back into center. Guide that right knee in over the shoulder again. Breathe in. This time we're going to warm up through the abs. So if your neck's happy, you're going to breathe in and you're going to curl up, bringing the nose in the direction of that right knee. Keep your left toes fully active, back towards the shin. As you exhale, release. So we're going to repeat all of that on the left side of the body. So the left knee guides in. You can open it out into the direction of the ribs, in towards the shoulder. So this is massaging into our internal organs, our colon. So stretch the right toes back in line with the shin. Keep the shoulders and the neck relaxed to start with here. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, float your right arm out and just start to open the left knee out. It doesn't need to be super deep, so just be gentle with yourself, especially if you've just got out of bed. So you're just opening up through the hip, feeling a stretch into the inner thigh, the groin area. One more breath. And then guide that knee back. And opposite arm takes hold. So if you were pregnant, you'd stay with the open twist. But otherwise, right hand to left thigh. And then bringing that leg across the body, start to roll onto the side of the hip. Left arm can float out. And perhaps you turn the gaze in the direction of your left fingertips. Just take a moment just to recognize how it feels on this side. No two sides are ever the same. So maybe this feels more spacious, perhaps it feels a little bit more uncomfortable. So use the breath to breathe into discomfort or sensation-rich feelings. Then guiding that left knee back, we're bringing it back in line with the shoulder, stretching the right leg out if you wish. And we're coming into that C crunch with the upper body. So we breathe in and we peel the shoulders and the upper body up, rooting into the lower abdominals, supporting the neck here. So you might want to take one hand behind the head if you need to, holding on to the breath here if you wish. And then exhale, release. So take a full body stretch again, breathe in. As you breathe out, this time bring both of the knees in over the chest. And maybe you'd like to take it into a happy baby. So the feet can shine to the ceiling. And you can hold behind the thighs, behind the calves, the ankles or the feet. Rooting down through the lower back. So try not to lift the bottom. And maybe a little bit of gentle movement, like a little baby rocking. So breathing into those hips. This is like our Hindi squat, upside down. Great. And then we're going to take hold behind the thighs, bring the knees together, and we're going to rock up to seated a few times. So if your lower back is happy with this, we're going to rock backwards and forwards, coming into like a baby boat balance pose as you do so. Doesn't need to be super large movements unless you want to. Just wakening up through the sacrum and the vertebrae of the spine, and then coming up and floating over into an all fours position from here. So give you time just to come up and come over onto your mat. Feel free, if you have got quite a thin mat and you're working on a wooden floor, to take an extra blanket underneath those knees if you want some extra padding, or roll your mat. So you're going to bring the wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And we're just going to start with traditional cat-cow movements. So we're going to inhale, open up through the spine. Nice curvature here. And then as you exhale, the movement comes from the tailbone. You're drawing up and under. So like a cat, drawing the navel into the spine, pushing into the floor here. So inhale as you open and exhale as you close. And you can go at your own pace. Perhaps I usually invite you to close down the eyes. Really feel what's going on in the body. So just take one more of those, 2 movements, one more cycle, inhaling, opening, and exhaling. So this is really good if you're spending a lot of time at a desk working remotely. Then these 2 stretches are beautiful medicine for your back. So we're going to come into some balance work. So you're going to lengthen your right leg, flex the toes, keep it rooted to the floor to start with, and just bring your left arm forwards. And then if you're ready, floating that right leg in line with your hips. So keeping the neck beautifully long, the pelvis nice and level, and the core drawn in. Take a couple more rounds of breath. And then we're going to switch sides. So if you want a little more, on the other side, you're going to try and rock forwards onto the wrist, and that will challenge your balance. So lengthen your left leg, tuck the toes under, float your right arm forwards, and then if you're ready, float that left leg up to meet it. So opposite diagonal stretch, the gaze is to the earth. And if you want that challenge, bring the weight forwards on the left wrist, challenge that core. Exhale, release. We're going to switch sides and repeat, and possibly add on for those who want to. So we're going to inhale, lengthen. And maybe we swim that left arm around to catch hold of the right toes, maybe ankle, trouser leg, and open up into a back bend. So kicking the foot into the hand, feeling a nice stretch through the front of the quad. Exhale, release. Remember, you can always stay with the first option. So breathing in, lengthening, and then your option to swim that right arm around, catch hold of the left ankle or foot, and then start to lift up and open into the back bend. One more breath. Exhale, release. And then take a fluid cat-cow. So I like to circle my hips. You can take any movements you want. You can just do your cat-cow again. You could take a child's pose. Just releasing off. Okay, and then from here we're going to stretch out the shoulders. So we're going to inhale, float on up. Doesn't matter which side you start with. And then walk the opposite hand forwards and thread your needle. So resting the side of the cheek down, gazing underneath that armpit, breathing, feeling a stretch across the upper shoulder. So this front arm can either stretch forwards or maybe you wrap it around the back into the inner thigh. Breathe here. Gently release if the arm's behind the back, push into the back. Now before we take that stretch to the other side, we're going to keep our hips over our knees here, and we're going to walk the hands forwards and drop the chest in between the arms. So this is extended puppy. If this was too strong, then feel free to come back and sit in child's pose. Here you can rest the forehead down on a cushion, or you can bend the forearms if you want something more restorative. Full pose, the arms are lengthening, the elbows are lifting, and maybe the chin, if you're more flexible, can come down to the earth. Breathe into the shoulders and the upper back. This is quite a strong back bend. And then with the next breath in, we're slowly going to come back into our all fours. And we take the shoulder stretch and the twist to the other side. So the arm floats up and opens, gaze follows, and then threading your needle. So turning the head to gaze underneath the armpit and choose your arm position on this side. Keeping the hips over the knees, unless you've chosen to sit back in child's. Gently release that arm if it's behind the back. Open up. And this time we are going to sit in child. So if you were pregnant, the knees would go wide to create that space for the bump, okay? You're going to fold over the legs. So you're going to come onto the fingertips here. And then let your forehead rest down. Again, you can use a cushion at home to make this more comfortable for you. Maybe even a cushion in between the heels and the butt, if you've got a lot of space there. So just breathing, connecting with the earth. And just walking the arms over to one side. Maybe you come off the mat, maybe you crisscross and pop the right palm on top of the left. So we're stretching down one side of the body all the way down into the hips. Really beautiful stretch for the side body. You can rest the palms down now. And gently breathe. And then come all the way back, paint your rainbow, which are really topical at the moment. And then pop that left palm on top of the right, rest the forehead down and breathe into that side of the body. Great, and then we're going to come back through centre, coming back onto the fingertips. By coming onto the fingertips rather than the palm, you get a little bit more of a stretch. So maybe you try palms down, where we normally go, and then onto fingertips. Can you feel the difference through the armpit, through the upper back, into the thoracic spine? See if you can sense that different feel. And then on your next breath, you're going to come back through all fours, and we're going to prepare to come to our dog pose. So tucking toes under, bracing through the core, so navel into spine, and then lifting up into a down dog position. So you can keep the knees slightly bent here, and don't worry where the heels are in relation to the earth. That doesn't matter. Maybe you just take your dog for a walk today and just bend one knee, drop the opposite heel down. So obviously, because I can't see you, but I know that you're there, just listen to your own body. If something doesn't feel right, feel free to come back down into child's pose and take a little rest at any point. Just leave it out. Just work with your own body today. So from our down dog, we're going to work on the feet. So we're going to inhale onto the tiptoes, breathing in, and then as we exhale, we're just going to lengthen through the backs of the legs and just root the heels down a little more. It doesn't need to be super deep. You're not trying to get those heels right down to the floor, and we're certainly not locking in the back of the knee. So 2 more like that. We're going to inhale, rise, exhale, release. Feel a nice sensation down the backs of the legs, stretching the hamstrings. Inhaling, and then exhaling. Beautiful. Now we're going to float into plank. So inhale, come forwards into your plank. You might want to drop onto the knees, which is perfectly fine here. And then we're going to exhale back into dog. So if anyone's a beginner and joining us, the dog is like a V shape with the body. You're lifting your tailbone all the way up to the ceiling, spreading your fingers nice and wide. So let's continue with this flow. Inhale, plank, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, dog. Twice more with the breath. Inhaling, remember the option here is to drop those knees down. Exhale, back to down dog. One more time. Inhaling, all the way through to your plank, and exhale, back into dog. So this time we're going to lower the body to the mat. So we're going to do this in slow motion today. So we're going to inhale to plank, and then I want you to bring the knees down, all of you, and then we're going to go really slowly to the earth in 1. So I want you to bend the elbows and hug them right into the ribs as you lower the body, chest to nose or chin, and hover there so the body's not on the mat yet. Hips are higher than your upper body, and then you can gently lie yourself down. So a very slow version of a mini chaturanga. Now so if you were pregnant, you would stay on your hands and knees and do your cat-cow flow for the flexion for the spine. The rest of us are going to lie down. We're going to take our feet underneath our hips, fingers off of the mat, fingertips like little cupcakes, elbows pointing up. We're going to inhale, breathe and rise. Exhale, gently lower. So the depth and the range is your choice. Squeeze the glutes to support you as you flow. You take one more round here, or just rest down if you prefer. So inhale, opening. Exhale, gently flowing. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. And you can use the knees for support here. We can come back the way we went in. So half plank and then back to our down dog. So we're going to speed that up just ever so slightly. So I'm going to take one more flow, one more vinyasa flow. So we inhale to plank. Maybe you bring those knees down, maybe you keep them up. You lower the body slowly. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, release. 2 more flows, or take cat-cow. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, tucking the toes, and bringing yourself back either through full plank, half plank, all fours, transitioning to dog. Let's take a couple of cleansing breaths here. So breathe in through the nose, sigh out the breath. Breathe in, let the breath go. One more time. Breathing in. So you're going to take a little journey. You can either walk your hands to your feet or you can walk your feet to your hands. And you're going to fold over the legs, so you're in a forward bend here. So lifting the tailbone, softening if you need to through the knees a little bit, taking a bit of support for the hamstrings, release the crown of the head, and just hang here. Just enjoy that sense of being upside down. Maybe you want to catch hold of the elbows. Just gently move around a bit. Release tension in the lower back. So we're going to roll up like a Pilates roll up. So you're going to draw your chin into your chest, become ragdoll-like, and then just stack the vertebra of the spine as you slowly roll all the way through, with the head the very last thing to come up. Beautiful. And then we're going to come into some balance work from here. So just starting with whichever leg you want to start with. Have a micro knee bend for the standing leg. You're going to inhale and draw one leg up, finding your center of balance. So find something that's non-moving to focus on. And then bringing the opposite hand to the back of the knee, back of the thigh. Start to turn your chest. Maybe the arm can float back. So coming into a standing twist. Come back through center. Catch hold underneath the thigh. You can stay here or you can lengthen that leg out. Or maybe you float the arms out for more challenge. So keeping the leg as high as you can. Activate the foot and continue to breathe. Gently soften and release. So we're going to repeat on the other side. So draw up through the core, float that knee up, find your center of balance, and then take it into the twist. So opposite hand to knee. If you're pregnant, come into an open twist like we did when we were lying down on the floor at the beginning. And maybe you start to turn your chest, your gaze, and that arm perhaps can float back. You can always keep the foot down if you want to leave the balance out this morning, or you can use a wall to support you at home or a chair. Take one more breath, and then come back into center. Keep that knee elevated. Maybe you hold on behind the thigh, staying here or lengthening the hamstring. So it might be slightly lower on this side, that's fine. If you can, Bring it up in line with the hip. Challenge, brace the core, and let go. Breathe in. Breathe out, release. We're going to go back to the original leg. Going to hook the ankle just above the knee. Open out in a figure of 4, and then sit down into a little squat. So your spine wants to be beautifully long, so if I come to the side, you want to keep drawing the shoulder blades back, tucking the tailbone, and lengthening. If you want more challenge, you can take yourself a little deeper and bring the fingertips down to the floor, feeling a deeper sensation in that hip. So squatting lower, working into the calf and the Achilles. So these are your choices. Breathe in, gently rise, exhale, release. So if you need to shake out or gently twist before we go into the other leg. So with balance, it's really important to find that focal point and to really focus there. If you look at things that are moving, like look at one another in the class, you'll know that it's harder to achieve that sense of stillness. So hooking the ankle just above the knee, activate the foot, so draw the toes back to the shin. The knee opens out, creating that figure of 4. Beginners, you could always just stay upright here. It's like a version of your tree. If you want more challenge, you want to work your butt and your quads, you start to sit lower into the hip. And that challenge is to bring yourself deeper and bring the fingertips lower to the floor. So breathe into whatever you can feel on this side. This is like a variation on our pigeon pose. It's good if you get any sciatica, any problems with the sciatic nerve. So we're going to gently rise and shake out if you need to. Brilliant. Okay, so let's come to one end of the mat, doesn't really matter which. I'm going to flow back down now. So third flow, so inhale, rise. Perhaps you take a back bend here, so actively squeeze those glutes. Bring yourself into a mini back bend. And then exhale and fold. Soften the knees here, bring the hands down. Walking out into dog to start with. And then we're going to float into plank. Over here. And then lower, so chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, all 4s, those who are pregnant. And then you take your cat-cow flow or your back bend of your choice. So you choose. I like to have fingertips wide off the mat. You take 3 flows in a back bend. You could just be in a cobra, hands underneath the shoulders. Flow down on the exhale. Inhale, rise. Exhale, flow. Feet are in contact with the mat. And the glutes are actively working here to strengthen and support the lower back. And as we come down, hands come underneath shoulders, tuck toes, and we're going to bring ourselves back. So we might be in a half plank or full plank, back to a dog. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to walk our feet this time in towards our hands. Maybe we take them outside of our hands. If I turn this way, we're coming into a little Hindi. We're just going to sit down on our mat really. So you can take Hindi squat to come down, or you can just sit down. Or maybe a half squat, sumo squat. Working into the hips for a breath and then release. So coming to sit, just adjust your space if you need to. Going to come into a seated twist. So we're going to bring one leg in, hug it into the chest, other leg long. Don't worry about lefts and rights, I'm not going to instruct. So we're going to hold that shin and lengthen out of the lower back. The toes on the leg that's longer coming back into the shin. Pregnant open twist. Follow with the baby. Otherwise, opposite hand to shin and around we go. So we pop the hand behind us to support our seat and the length of our spine here. So breathe in. And I'm going to take it into an IT band stretch for those who want it. So the leg that's bent, you're going to catch hold of the outside of the foot and you're going to lengthen it forward. So if I come to the side, it looks like this. So it's kind of like a diagonal stretch. The knee can be soft and the hand can still be down on the floor for support or balance, or you can float it and gaze back. So this is good to stretch out that IT band on this side. One more breath. Exhaling, releasing. So we switch sides. Take your time. So draw that heel in towards the groin. Lengthen the other leg. Sit up tall, hug the shin. And then opposite arm. So inhale, rise, exhale. And then root down through the glute. So you don't want to be drawing that buttock away from the mat. You want to be really stretching, rooting and grounding down, and then start to turn your chest. So the twist is coming from your core. So this is another good stretch if you do struggle with problems with the nerve, the sciatic nerve. So this is really getting into the piriformis and it's stretching through the buttock, through the glute muscle. Come back through center. Both legs can come long now, so I'll just pivot so you can see. Flex the feet. You're going to inhale, rise. You're going to exhale and soften. Now, it doesn't need to be really deep. Some people prefer to bend their knees and come into it this way, and then if you're on a slidey floor, you can inch the heels away from you, keeping the chest close to the thighs. But concentrate on lengthening the spine as opposed to rounding and dropping nose to toes. So we're stretching out our hamstrings. Inhale, lengthen up. Bring the hands behind you. Option one, come into a tabletop position. Knees underneath, feet underneath the knees, and hands, fingers can point forwards or backwards. So that's your option one. Option two, have one leg bent and one leg long. Option three, full inverted plank. So both legs long. Head can drop back if you prefer. Gently unravel. Release your wrists. And we're going to prepare to lie down. So bring socks, blankets, pillows, anything that you've got close by with you. You're going to come onto your back and just coming back to that happy baby. Or maybe you prefer to hug the knees in over the chest and gently rock from side to side instead. Just coming back now to where we started our practice. And then finding a restful position for you. So that might be with the legs bent, knees together, feet wide, slightly wider. Or it might be that you're comfortable with the legs stretched out long. So, relax through the entire body. Float the palms to face up to the ceiling. Chin draws down into the chest. And if you still find that your mind is very busy today, because of everything that's going on, Then maybe bring the hands back to the chest and the belly, and that will help you to rest and anchor with your breath here. So we're going to take the next 5 minutes or so just to deeply relax and to soak up the benefits of the postures that we've shared together this morning. So coming back to that sense of balance. So often it's said that the only thing we can really control is what's within us and how we react to things. So finding that balance at the moment with homeschooling, for example, if you've got a family, don't worry if they don't manage to get all of those lessons done. As teachers, we really won't mind. So finding that balance of work and family time. And also with regards to diet and food, maybe one day you find that you overindulge, and then the next day you just find that balance. So just being kind and gracious to yourself. So we're going to take a few breaths together. We're going to breathe in through the nose, and then just let go of the breath. And as you let go of the breath, let the body sink a bit deeper and relax. Breathe in through the nose. As you exhale, surrender completely. One last effort on the inhale, breathing in. And then a deep, full exhale. Letting the whole body relax. And as the physical body finds stillness, let yourself focus on your breath, so the mind too can slow down. So fully letting go of any expectation or any judgment of yourself. So feel free to stay here. There's no obligation. I can't see you and there's no class waiting to come in. So if you've struggled with your sleep lately, feel free to just rest in Shavasana for a further 5, 10, 15 minutes at home in the luxury and warmth of your own home. If you have things to do and you want to prepare for the rest of your day and the beautiful sunshine, then in your next inhale, just start to bring a little bit of gentle movement back in with awareness. So starting with fingers and toes, maybe wrists, ankles, maybe you gently roll your head through. And then listening to your own body. So you might want to stretch out, you might want to draw in and hug in. Or even rolling over to one side of the body. Taking your time, there is no rush. And we'll meet slowly in a seated position to close down the practice for those who are not resting in Shavasana. So finding a comfortable seat. The legs don't need to be crossed. You can have them stretched out. Find the length through the spine. And just keep your gaze soft or your eyes closed. So take the arms out by the side of the body. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, draw through the midline of the body. We'll take 2 more breaths like that. Inhale, rise. Exhale. Find that softness. Inhale, rise. And this time just pause at your third eye space. Your lips and your heart. So may you take that sense of balance, that balance of surrender and effort into your day and into the rest of your week. Namaste, yogis, yoginis. Thank you. So have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, stay safe, look after one another, and the thing that we can give is love and gratitude for all those people that are still working incredibly hard to fight this horrible virus. So thank you for having me, and I hope to see you all very soon. Namaste.